you really got to help me out with this. How did we get to the last week of January already? I feel like it was only just yesterday that I was wishing everybody Happy New Year. And I'm like, we're 1 month in it already. Hey, welcome to Drop Your Noise. New to the show? Hi, my name is Kirti and welcome back. Let's recap. This month I spoke to Benedicte and I really enjoyed our conversation on diversity. I was waiting actually to share this podcast out and I thought it would be a great fit for 2026. If you were like me, a little bit done with knew this and knew that and constantly trying new stuff and needing that sense of pause and ask yourself, how can I go into the new year intentional with a little bit more consideration and finding the balancing act, not from the outside, but from the inside. What do I mean by that? Some of you may or may not know, but I do. For the past 20 years, I've been involved in supporting individuals how to communicate and express themselves to others. And this can be in various industries. So it's one-to-one or in corporates or in organizations or charities. And it's all around having to have the tough conversation, the difficult conversation. And I always notice that one size fits all doesn't work. I used to teach yoga as a therapy. And one of the things that constantly stood out was the origin of stress often came from not saying the thing that we want to say because we're afraid of how it's going to be perceived and accepted. And so when we have a different idea or a different way of seeing things, we are worried how it might come back to us. So we sit in our heads and all these kinds of different thoughts and scenarios come into it. And so I'd often have to ask the individual or find ways to get them to slow down and pause. That was 20 years ago. When I spoke to Benedicte, I was reminded of that because when you come with diversity of thinking, not everybody feels like they're ready to hear it. They'll say, yeah, sure, I want to hear your different thought. But when you start listening to that different thought, you start realizing and recognizing what's inside of you that you might have resistance towards it. Or you might start saying yeah and no and comparing. There's so many different qualities of thoughts and emotions that go inside you. And then you try all these different frames and yeah, they work for a week or for two, but then after a while you feel the pressure again. Difficult or diverse conversations do take a different spin. And I noticed time and time again, slowing yourself down makes a lot of difference. Because when you slow down, even though it feels like a forever, for some reason we think slow down is forever. No. Our mind can slow down even within 10 seconds and you can make a change in the way you want to communicate or show up in your demeanor, in the way you want to talk to others. And that is what I've been doing for 20 years. And trust me, it's taken a long time to get to it. So much so that I actually produced a card that I'm really proud of after 5 years. Now, when I had left the yoga world, I thought I was only going to give yoga and I really didn't want to. And all my experiences, my travels, end of last year, I had to distill it down. Hence why New Year, New You and all that stuff, I wasn't really interested in it. And at the front of the card, I wrote, what's between how are you, ... and ... what do you do? And believe it or not, you know why this came about? It came about because I was going to networks here in Dubai, or actually wherever I go. Those are the two things. People ask you how you are, but they're not really invested to know how you are. Because if you told them, well, my day hasn't been good, they're already switched off and they're somewhere else in their head. Or if you tell them, what do you do? Either they're comparing your what you've told them to their career or to a situation that's going on in their lives. So between the dots, between all of that, what are those dots? What is your life in between those two? And I find that when we talk about how hard it is to have conversations nowadays and how difficult it is to express our minds, and we live in a very polarized world, it could be just as simple as how do we pause in our mind? And I say simple, but in the world where speed is revered and the speed for information and access to information doesn't give us enough time to pause and process. So that's what I really do. I help people to pause and process. And why am I telling you this? If you were going to go into your 2026, I know 1 month is gone already, and you say, okay, right, I've tried everything. I still feel anxious. I feel depressed. And I'm also telling people, you feel like the world is like against you or they don't get you and stuff like that. Learning the art of mastering the art of pausing can make such a huge difference in your life. 10 years ago, for example, when I traveled the world, I was actually traveling on speed, believe it or not. I felt like I had FOMO. I had to catch up on everything. That sometimes I feel like if I had gone slower, I might have taken in a lot more in the countries I had lived in. If you want these next 11 months to make the most of it, you want to take in the most of it as well. And so when I spoke to Benedicte and she spoke about lateral thinking, are we outsourcing our critical thinking? I tried this for about a week, which was I took Instagram off and Facebook. And I realized how much I use it. And I was like, yeah, but I can take it off. I can put it on my iPad or my computer. And I realized how much I was getting on Instagram in the moments I really could have done something so much more different. And then I hit a snag. I had to put it back on my phone because I do a lot of my editing for my work and I have to post it on Instagram. And I'm still trying to find a solution not to do this anymore. When I took Instagram and Facebook off my phone, my God, did I have a lot more time, and I could fill it with different things. So I invited myself to read different perspectives and dive into trying to understand different industries as well. And I'd like to invite you to that. Give yourself the opportunity at least once in a month to just switch off by diving into something unfamiliar. Because that can give us that diversity of perspective that could make a lot of difference as we go forward. Especially when you use AI and a lot, which is a language learning module, you may feel like getting yourself more and more dependent to use it and you're outsourcing your inner trust. Or as Benedicte said, you might be outsourcing your critical thinking. I feel it's more inner trust. Why not try it out? Because as we go forward and people keep shouting out about being authentic and just be yourself, if you want to really truly want that, then you got to get used to that, having that recognition for that one thing inside of or the many things inside of you that is not what everybody else might be thinking, and finding that art of pause in it all to find that one thing or that many thing that makes you uniquely you. Invite yourself to that. And if you want to feel inspired and you need that little bit of that extra hand holding going through, you can always jump on. It's not just a podcast. You can join our newsletter, or you can join the WhatsApp channel as well, where I do share what I'm up to, and I make these pause phrases so you can come along and give your insights on it as well. So it's food for thought. Have a wonderful upcoming February, and hopefully may it go, that we don't just go through it very fast, but we're very present with it, that we take it all in as we want it to be. Hey, have a good one till the next one.